Hello.
Ooh.
Hello.
Hello. Hey, everybody. Wow. Welcome everybody to the Welcome In. Wow. I said that way too many times. I'm possibly having a stroke.
Lots of W's.
Guys, we have an amazing guest today, and a friend of the channel who has been on several one-shots with us now and is a fantastic human being and an absolute legend, Youthpastorryan!
That was the kindest intro I've ever received ever. So thank you so much. Oh
Just
my
true.
gosh, I'm so excited to be here and paint some miniatures and do some things. Like, it's gonna be good.
It's gonna be a heckin' blast. Ryan, for our amazing friends here who want to know where to find you, where do they find you? How do they find
So you can find me on Twitch and TikTok at Youthpastorryan. You can also find me on Instagram at Ryan Kelly Comedy because Youthpastorryan is already taken by a real youth pastor, and it was look at that guy. But in all fairness, he hasn't used it since 2013. It's like, come on, man. Let's let the fake youth pastor take this one. But I guess we won't. Yeah.
Oh, man, I mean, hashtag get Ryan his IG handle. That's
right.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's all. Funny thing, I've actually talked to the guy because I made a joke about the fact, like on a TikTok, that that he hasn't used it in a really long time. I would sure love it. And that joke got way out of hand. And all of a sudden, he's got dozens of comments that are like, give it up. And I messaged him and I was like, dude, I'm so sorry. And he messaged me back and he was like, first off, I actually like your content and I thought it was hilarious. And I was like, oh, thank God. And second off, I just don't remember the password to it. Otherwise, I'd give it to you. And I was like, thanks, man.
That's so nice. Oh my God. I'm glad that I didn't get too out of hand. That's amazing, though. What a story.
Right? I was just like, oh no, did I just accidentally dox someone? Like, that was not what I wanted at all. Like, I was trying to be happy and wholesome. Yeah, right.
It's a joke.
The internet can be scary. Well, guys, speaking of the internet, we have a few announcements for you all. That was a segue. It wasn't a good one, but it was a segue. We have a few announcements for you, and then we'll get into seeing what we're all going to paint today. Ryan has got some exciting stuff to show us, and then we will ask questions. And near the end of this, about 30 or 40 minutes from now, we're going to open up questions to chat. So start thinking about your questions now so that they are ready to go. I'm sorry, there is a fire going on behind me, apparently. But anyway,
unless you started it, no need to apologize. You know?
No, I'm kidding. I did not start the fire. So anyway,
that's a bad fireball.
It's number 2 this week. Anyway, announcements, guys. Thank you to our amazing sponsors. Skull Splitter Dice. Wow, I'm just making a mess of everything. Skull Splitter Dice are our amazing sponsors who have sponsored our channel. They are this really cool dice company. They're also doing a giveaway, which we run throughout the month during our D&D games. So any of the games that are running during the breaks, we run a giveaway, which gets you in the running for a huge cup of 100 dice. It's in like this skull. It's super epic. It's very cool. Check out Skull Splitter. They make amazing dice. I've purchased them myself. I stand by them. They roll well. So I've been enjoying it. I can't guarantee that, but anyway. So yes, thank you to our amazing sponsors. Thank you to our amazing partners, Soundtail, which provides amazing ambience. Thank you to Arcane Anthems, our amazing friend Weston, who creates intro music for our shows and free D&D music for the entire world to enjoy. He is a legend. And of course, Relaris Maps, who works with us making maps that are just beautiful and fantastic. We love him. A huge thank you to our mods who are already working to try and keep up with my really bad intro this week. You guys are the best. We love you all. This month, we are doing our October charity is for the National Breast Cancer Foundation, the NBCF. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, for those of you who don't know, and the NBCF was founded to fill in the gaps of cancer care. It ensures every woman has access to the information she needs to get through every step of her breast cancer journey. So take a look, go down, click on that big donate button. It's going to take you right to the NBCF's website. You can make donations there. Very cool, very much appreciate it. We also have another charity event coming up in November that our good friend Mr. Adap is coordinating with several members of the D&D community. Some of them you've seen here before. They're awesome. So keep an eye out for that. The November D&D charity is going to be on This Show is a Mimic, which is another Twitch stream that does D&D content. Great folks, amazing folks. Please take a look at that. What else? Discords. We have a Discord. Please take a look at our Discords. There's a command that explains all of it to you. We have a sub-Discord. It's a really cool place. Some of our amazing community members are organizing their own games. There have been streams that have formed. One of them was live today. It was super good. Parker and I were both there for a while checking out. We love them. Amazing people. A great place to meet other folks and fans of the shows and all that. So please take a look at the Discord. Parker, you're up. I think I'm done.
Hi guys! So I'm here to talk about your schedule for this week. So you guys can find us at 7 p.m. on Friday. We are spending the month of October doing a series of different one-shots, spooky Halloween-themed one-shots with different DMs and different players, highlighting a bunch of our wonderful community. Our very first one is this Friday. It's called Commune with the Dead, and it will be run by Commune. So that is at 7 p.m. on this Friday. Then you can find us here at 6 p.m. on Saturday for Conundrum Company, as always. And then on Sunday, you can join Sarah for Sarah's Roundtable, where they're playing 3 kobolds in a trench coat. So that one should be super fun. And that is our weekends. We've got 3 days of programming again for this weekend, and you can find our schedule on our Instagram. You can also find it in the About section in our wonderful Google Calendar. But always check our social media. So our Instagram and Twitter are definitely great places to find our schedule and things that are happening. And then our YouTube has all of our videos up 3 days after the broadcast. So you can check us out there.
Excellent.
And then I think the only other thing is we're still doing our Road to 8K giveaway. So for anybody who's curious, you can win a welcome in dice tray. So these were handcrafted by my dad, the Elder Nerd. You guys can actually win this one exactly right here. So it's walnut, it's box jointed, it's real pretty, and it rolls nice. And you can match all the innkeepers. Sorry, I hit myself with that. There you go.
That's beautiful.
It's so beautiful. Also, the fact that he's called the Elder Nerd makes me so happy that my soul is
dad.
full. Oh my gosh.
Legend.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
All right. We're through announcements. Let's get to the fun part, which, is sharing the minis that we're going to paint today. So Parker, let's start with you. What do you got for us?
Okay. So I'm going to try my hand at this little itty bitty pixie finally. So I'm going to try and make this Ashi pixie. And then if I get frustrated with that, I bought a cute little 2-headed dog. So I'm going to do this one.
Oh my god, that's adorable. So I'm saving the best for last round, so I'm going to show mine first. So I'm doing this barbarian, which is half painted because, let's see if I can get my camera to focus on it. Hey, look at that! I figured it out. So this barbarian will be getting painted up to join the rest of the barbarians on the channel. But in the meantime, we'll see how that goes. Ryan, what have you got, my friend?
I have, so I play almost exclusively dwarves. And so I myself have a dwarf with a massive battle axe and a good old shield. So I'm feeling pretty great about that.
You are in the right place, I tell you what, if you are a lover of dwarves. We are
Big time.
copacetic there. All right, well, so you've shown us our menu, but Ryan, what is your mini painting experience? How much mini painting have you done?
I think the last time I painted at all had to be in the 6th grade. And so, and it wasn't minis. So it's been a minute. It's been a minute. So I have also, so yeah, this will be my first mini painting, and the first time painting since I was probably 11. So let's do it.
This is gonna be fantastic. I love it. So you've got some paints, right? That you got ordered. You've got your mini. So we've kind of gone over this before, but the basic principles, right, of mini painting is pick a paint, dip your brush, get a little water maybe if you need it, hit the palette, and then go to the mini, right? That's kind of the order of operations there. Now, if you have paint droppers, I'm not sure if it opens up, but if you can't drop your brush right in there, you're gonna drop the paint onto the palette a little. We'll see what those look like.
Whoa, cool.
Okay, you've got like a little, so you can like squirt that onto your palette, get a little water into it, and you're just gonna work with tiny little bits of paint. And there's no rush here. It's just have fun. It helps me relax for sure when I'm painting. But
excellent. I by the way, I want to let you guys know, I don't know why, but my very first thing to do immediately when I took off the paint was to smell it, and I don't think that's a sign of like a like an intelligent, healthy individual. It's just like, what did you do? Oh, pants smell good. Like, oh no, someone.
Just look out for drinking your paint water on accident.
I feel called out. I don't.
I didn't say who did it. You called yourself out.
That's true.
Gotta be honest. That is the thing that when I got this cup of water that I got most concerned with. I was almost sure I will do it.
I think the most times I've done it on a stream is 2 or 3, but
yeah.
No, so many.
Not a clever man. Don't drink paint water, guys.
Yes,
Pro tip. There's the real tip. All right, let's do some questions. Parker, what do we got?
So, Ryan, how did you get into D&D? How'd you start playing?
I played lightly before. I had friends at Disney that actually wanted to play. So I played with them, and then my roommates had played. And so we started a campaign after that. It was so much fun. I remember we'd play. So I'd always been a fan of like RPG style games, and I always knew where that came from. And so I was just excited to finally get to really hit the OG, you know? Always nice.
It's fair.
It's always, I mean, it's friends, right? The bring.
Oh, absolutely.
So, I think I might know the answer to this question, having played D&D with you times. But what is your favorite class to play in Dungeons and Dragons?
I almost exclusively play what I call a youth cleric, and it's really just a cleric that teaches the youth about whichever deity they have selected, and it's so much fun. I love being a cleric. I started out as a life cleric in one of the campaigns I was playing, but then thanks to your guys and your partnership that you have, I was able to feel the love of a light cleric, and I don't think I ever want to go back. It was so much fun.
You kill with that cleric too. He's legendary. Oh my god.
Oh, it's so much fun. Just the abilities that they have. Also, when we're playing together, we thankfully have Artificer, who I've learned can just power me up to ridiculous levels, and my goodness, the most fun.
God, that was so good. The hammer, the Thor hammer of fire, just legendary.
As soon as she said like you can throw it like Mjolnir, I was like, well, this is what I'll do for the rest of time now. I don't know if I
that's
it. I get this for... Exactly.
We should sit down and make a youth cleric subdomain, like an actual like class with like a stat sheet.
I'm 100% down.
Oh
my gosh.
Let's do it. Okay.
That would be so much fun.
Yeah, we'll do it. Okay.
You wanted to, we could maybe do it on a stream, take like take opinions from the audience and just kind of sit and build it together if you wanted to as like a stream.
Yes, let's do it. Let's do it. I'm all for this.
Excellent.
Okay. Stay tuned, folks. We'll figure it out.
I'll get the schedule.
Oh, legendary.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I feel like you probably already answered this question, but what is your favorite race to play?
Oh, definitely a dwarf. I think that they're fun and they're stocky, and I just love it so much. It's the best.
You don't even have to do your bit, Josh.
So there's for context, there's a bit on this show where no matter what people say, afterwards I ask them to say that they love dwarfs the most because dwarfs are the best race in D&D. Please don't yell at me, chat. But
questionably.
Yeah, it's
chat. Feel free to yell at me.
Yeah.
That's
there you go. So, but you've got it covered. Like you might be the first person who has genuinely answered dwarfs. So that makes me very happy. Thank you.
Yep.
I just love them, and also in like the campaign that we were doing, I feel like I'm small enough to be chucked through things, but I'm also sturdy. So it's just it's a good combination. It's just fun.
It really, they're well made. There's a lot of cool lore with them too, right? Like
there's so much cool lore, and I feel like a lot of the campaigns that I've seen, a lot of people go through like dwarven ruins, and it's like, well, that's got to be a pretty interesting place then. So we just build cool things, no worries there.
Yeah, there's like a legacy in the world always, and that's the best.
Mm.
So so you've shared your favorite class to play. What class do you think you want to try next? Like, given all the options that are out there, is there anything on your to-do list, your bucket list, class-wise?
I've thought about doing a warlock. Thought that would be really fun. I want something. You will know far more about this than I will, and I would love to know your opinion. I want something where I can summon just a ton of pets. I think what Martin does. Yep, druids. Thank you. That just sounds like so much fun. I just love to have essentially like a really aggressive Snow White. I think is what I want to go for.
I had a character like that.
No way!
I made a druid Disney princess. Yeah.
Oh, that's iconic.
That
She's
so
a
much.
little gnome. She's a little gnome Disney princess.
She's a gnome. Oh my gosh.
I just have
Tiny
this
and
mental image
defensible.
of Ryan going, and like birds sweeping.
There's only one way to summon them, and it's by song. I definitely also want to play a bard at some point. I was looking into multi-classing with a cleric and a bard just for the weirdest combination. He's super pious, but also gets into a lot of trouble.
Bards.
Oh, that's legendary. I love that
I
idea.
love bards.
I'm excited.
Excellent choices, all of them.
Why, thank you. Okay, I got a question for you guys, if you don't mind. Do you mind if I fire back on you guys?
Ask
What?
away.
So you mentioned you had a Disney princess gnome, which is incredible. What are your guys' favorite characters you've ever created, or it just in the top 3? Because I know that can be nearly
gosh.
impossible.
Okay. Top 3 for me. Demi is number 1, the one that I'm playing on Saturdays now. She's a bard. She's a Water Genasi bard. She has my whole entire heart. She has a pseudo dragon named Bims, who is wonderful. He
So
looks like this. So
Bims is perfect in every way.
yes, and probably second on there is Odafina. So she's the little gnome Disney princess that I made. She's got a little bat that goes around with her everywhere. And oh gosh, third, I made a really, really interesting ranger that I haven't gotten to play for very long. It's the UA Fae ancestry ranger subclass. So I made a color changing tiefling because that subclass, it gives you the like choice of changing like your hair and skin color with the seasons. So I made like a chameleon tiefling, which I thought was a really cool concept. And her adoptive parents are Titania and Oberon. So it's a lot of fun.
I think
That's such a deep Shakespearean cut. I love that so
Yeah.
much. That's
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Those are probably my top 3.
I think so I don't have like a number 1 of them all. I think that Divinius and Gargomats are definitely up there in regards to just how ridiculous and ludicrous and also deep at the same time that character concept is, where the warlock is like attempting to teach his patron how to be good. I like that. That's just funny. I have a character that is just a feral.
Wait, it's so good.
I have a feral nightmare goblin creature named Kak Skagback, who Parker has had the opportunity of meeting, who is just absolutely, he's the worst rogue on the planet, but also very good at it. He'll do things like be invisible and announce that he's about to steal people, or from people, as he like puts his hand into like that sort of thing. He's very fun. And then I think my other one is Rel Dust Snow was my dwarf cleric, Forge Domain for a while, and then Time Domain cleric, which is a cool homebrew subclass that I got to play for a while on one of our campaigns here. He died, which was very sad. I should have thought about this answer before I brought it up. Yeah, wow. On that sad note. He was a great character, though. He was very sad. He was a cleric at war with himself and with his own god. And he was torn between obligations of where he was and what his deities expected of him. Cool.
I should really love that. That's kind of beautiful. Very, very Habakkuk inspired. My God. A very deep cut. Yeah, I may be a fake youth pastor, but I went for school for too long, where it's just now it's just in there.
You're impressive, sir.
It's perfect. So we know that dwarves are your favorite to play. Is there a race that you want to play? Is there one that you've seen that you're like, I really, really want to play that next? If you couldn't play a dwarf.
I gotta be honest, so I actually, even though it might be kind of generic, just because why would you do this since you have so many races to play? But like, I like being human, and so I think it would be fun to be a human bard. Just to be like, yeah, I'm pretty generic. I'm here, but trying his best.
Yeah.
Putting the human in humanoid. But I really want to play as either a giant or a furball. Furball.
Furbolgs are really good.
Because they just.
Can I just say that I like being human is one of the most poetically beautiful and uplifting things that I've ever heard on this stream.
I like being human.
It really is. Like that's...
I'm glad that it makes me happy. It always. That's why in like Skyrim and things like that, I normally play like a human character because I'm like, you know what? I'm kind of attached. Like I know what it's like, and I don't mind it. It's nice. It's fun. So
good. Furbolgs are also very cool. That is.
They are. They really are.
Let's see. So, let's see. So we've talked about your favorite class. We've talked about what class you want to try next. Is there a class that you don't enjoy or don't really see as interesting to you? Like, is there one you aren't really thinking of? Not really feeling or vibing?
I think off the top of my head, I think I'd be willing to try pretty much every class at least once. I've played a rogue before, but granted, it was like really early on. So this was like probably 2 years ago, and I didn't really know what I was doing. So I think that has a large part to do with it. Is when you don't know what you're doing, you don't know what to spec into, and so that can make it tough. But it was fine, but I probably wouldn't go back to a rogue for a hot sec. I've heard of, really enough, going back to like things I would like to try. That like if I had to pick between like a melee combat and like kind of get in get out, I'd probably go with a fighter.
Mm-hmm.
What I've been told, just because it's fun, and apparently they've got I think it's a feat makes them just nearly impossible to hit. Which big fan of that. Don't love fucking whacks. So
damage can go away. Please, I don't want it.
Right? Yeah. I've had enough of this. Yeah. So that's awesome. What would you guys recommend as a class to try going forward? Parker, I know we've just met, but Josh, out of the limited, but fun experiences we've had with me, what do you think I'd like to probably play? Any thoughts?
Well, I mean, cleric is the best class, so you started at the top.
Josh,
of course.
Calm down. I think you would really like a druid if you want to summon a bunch of animals and have a bunch of fun. You also still can heal like a cleric. Druids still really heal, and you get all the fun animal stuff. Plus, druids, you can just turn into animals like twice a day. Twice a short rest.
Druids are sick.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, as your level goes up, you can turn into different animals. Like Sean's character Morton just got to we're on level 8 right now, Josh, and so now he can turn into animals that fly.
Just fly.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I think you'd really like druids.
I also think I
would love that.
Having played with you, you are an individual who likes to wade into danger head on and just bust skulls. Like, in my limited experience.
Very true.
Yeah, and I've heard stories.
You're 100% right.
Yeah, I've heard stories of your exploits from yourself and from others, and you always seem like the guy who like gets into the thick of it. So I think barbarians and fighters would be fantastic. Either of those you would adore. Like, they can take a pounding. They are so much fun. They deal big damage. Like, you'd adore either of those. Druids are also very good for that too.
That sounds incredible. I would love that. That is kind of my goal, is like having a really high armor class so I can just go in a room and essentially be the door. Like I'm living my best Hodor life. Like that is, except a happier ending, I'm hoping. Spoiler alert, 2019 maybe?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah. At this point.
Right?
Oh my god.
I had a teacher in high school that it was when Titanic had come out. He was teaching. He teaches history, and there was a girl in his class who was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't wait to see the movie Titanic." And he goes, "The boat sinks," and she went, "You spoiled it." And it was like, no.
Oh no.
No, the year 1912 spoiled it. Like, dang, like what?
Every history textbook you've ever read spoiled it for you.
Right.
That's amazing.
So, do you have any races that you have like just no interest in playing? You said you're interested in playing a human, which I think is great.
I love that.
Is there one that you're like, just no, that one doesn't really speak to me?
I feel like most. I'm not particularly enthralled with, and I know they can be so good. But I've never been particularly enthralled with elves. Like I'm good with everything else, and I think they're cool to have in the party. I've never. I always kind of want that are a little more. Elves seem so refined to me, and that is not. My acting skills would be quite tested if I had to do that. So I am much more of a fan of fun bumbling shenanigans. So yeah,
it's a really good logic behind it. Like,
thank you.
Wow. Sorry, I've always, again, similarly, like I've never really like considered elves for me, and a lot of the time it is that same kind of reasoning. It is like I like to be a bit of a doofus or a bit of a rowdy boy, and elves seem so elegant.
Yeah, I feel like that would just it wouldn't be fair to like the race or the character for me to play it that way. Sometimes I do. I think it is fun to add some chaos to it, but just from what I know from elven races, and it wouldn't make sense.
Yeah, I get that. So, this is a big story. This is a big question for you. So hold on to your seat. The Youthpastorryan journey is an impressive one, but how did you get into content creation? Like, what's your start there? Like, where did it all begin? What's the catalyst?
Well, I was born in a hospital in St. Louis, Missouri. But that's the thing. I've always been a weird duck, and so that's always helped. For instance, I was I was the only kid in T-ball that every time I would get on base, I would take a bow. So that was kind of that was a hint to my parents that this was not. We've got one that we're not sure what to do with here. And so, pretty young, started doing voices, and I started having fun with things like that. But what really got me into it is I've done improv for over a decade right now, and I love it more than anything. And it really started in my high school, weirdly enough. And there's almost no high schools that have this, but they had an improv team. And the teacher was trained by Del Close, who's like one of the founding fathers of modern day improv. Second City IO, he's the founder of IO, and dude was an interesting character as a human being, but a fantastic improviser. And so it was very cool to be able to learn from her, and I was able to grow through that. And then I was trained at Second City Improv Olympic, UCB, and the Groundlings in comedy sports after that, because I realized that this was something that I loved and wanted to get better at. And so it's funny, really weird, because I at the Groundlings, they always said, because Will Ferrell was one of their students, and Will Ferrell's very famous for saying becoming an overnight success took me 10 years. That was really funny. And I feel like that's very true, because most of my stuff is storytelling, and almost knocked over something on my desk and knocking things over. That's a big part of my and it all came from originally improvising, and then so I feel like my life has been a long series of moments that have happened that at the time I thought, well, this is bad, but it's ended up completely changing my life for the better. I went to college at a place called Calvin College, which is in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and I went because they had a good engineering program and a good improv team. They were very notoriously good at that, and I wanted to continue to do comedy. And The very first year I went there, I auditioned, and the audition was very, very good, but they did not take me. And then the second year, so in between that time, I decided, I was like, you know what? I did improv in the city with a group that's called Fictional Friends. They perform out of a dive bar that is a biker bar.
That's amazing.
That sounds amazing.
So much fun, and they were the coolest. It was an amazingly diverse cast of people that I have never gotten the luxury to perform with people like that again, because it was such a unique group of people, and it was wonderful. But after that, I took that summer and I started doing. It was actually that winter. I was like, well, improv. The problem with improv is that I can't do it by myself sometimes. So what I need is to do stand-up, and so I started doing stand-up. And from there, that summer I went and I trained at IO in Chicago for the whole summer, including Second City there. That was good, and I got better, and I was sure that, because for me it's like, okay, if you say no, I want to get to a point where it would be egregious for you to say no. And I went back and I auditioned and I crushed it. And I knew it because people were coming up during the audition process and were like, have fun on the team. And that was very sweet. And I didn't make it again.
What?
And what was super tough is my best friend at the time, and who is still my best friend to this day. I've been the best man at his wedding. I love him to death. His name's TJ. He did make it. So that was a tough time. At that point, I'd also stopped being an engineer. I dropped out of engineering because I was like, man, if I go through with this, I'm going to build a building, then throw myself off it. Like, I was not. Calculus was not my thing, and I was just like, ugh. What I found out later is that there was a girl on the team who I had never actually spoken to, but she didn't like me because I reminded her of an ex, which was tough. And at that point, there's nothing you can really do with that except for kind of like accept it. And so I performed. She graduated the year after that second year. I auditioned for the third year, and I did make it. By my fourth year, I ran the team, which was very cool. And it was a very, very fun, compelling moment of like, look, it did work out. There's definitely those moments in life where it's like, okay, you know what? If I work hard enough, maybe it'll, even if the odds are against you, eventually we'll stack it in our favor. And it did. It finally worked out. And after that, I had a job out in. It's a very long-winded answer. I'm sorry, but this
is fantastic. It's amazing.
I love this.
Yeah.
Thank you. I had a job set up to move out to LA. So I graduated with a degree in business and a degree in international relations. And but I was still very fascinated in like comedy and acting. And during the summer, so in between that second and third summer, I was like, fine, you're still not going to take me. I'm going to go. And so I went out, and I went out to LA, and I lived in LA for a summer, and I worked for an improv theater, and they paid me through all my classes and things like that. And I got to I got to see Colin Mockery do stand up or do improv. Like, it was incredible. I got to see David Koechner, like some of the people from the original, like Beer Shark Mice, like these really iconic teams that ended up like spawning shows, and it was awesome.
Oh, that's amazing.
And there, I met someone came into the club. Also, Jason Alexander, by the way, from Seinfeld, is the nicest guy. He's so nice. His son does stuff. It's just the nicest dude. That's just a small little addendum. But there was a person that came in, and he was like, "Hi, what do you do?" And I'm like, "I work the box office." He was like, "Okay, are you an actor? Like, do you do anything like that?" And I was like, "Yeah, I've done some acting. I was thankful to have had a little voice work experience, things like that." And like, cool, here's my card. And I'm gonna have to get kind of vague because the story's gonna go off the rails. He ran a very large company, a very storied company, and he was like, "I also run a management company. To graduate college, come out here and work for me." And I was like, "Okay, like I can do that." I think at the time I was so enthralled by the idea of what I wanted, I wasn't paying attention to like the details. Because of that, so I started this job, and this person ended up being, I won't beat around the bush, very much a monster.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's very much a classic. Like if there's anyone in here that is looking to like go out to LA, I would recommend like be very careful. But thankfully, I am so Midwestern and stubborn. Like you just can't get me to do things that I don't want to do. But this person represented me. I was I got some cool experiences out of the job, but I couldn't continue to work for this person. I knew I couldn't because he threw a remote through a TV when I said I wouldn't perform favors.
Oh.
So yeah, and I was like, whoa, and I was like, that's it. And I literally in that moment went, well, I think he's acutely aware that I'm done. And so I got out of that. I immediately, and here's the thing, that's a really tough blow because I lost representation, I lost connections, I lost deals, I lost a lot of things from that, but it was 100% worth it. After that, I focused more on stand-up after that. I was like, you know what, I know, because stand-up has always been the one thing I can control fully, which has been wonderful. So I got another job. I worked as an accountant for Warner Brothers with the most lovely boss in the whole wide world. She was delightful. And so it was a very wonderful, I worked on the movie Rampage, which if you haven't seen it, it's not great, but it's a Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson movie, but it's fun. And after that, so when accounting movies or like accounting jobs for movies end, the jobs end. So, or like when the movie ends, the job ends. So you can't really keep that up. And they're mobile. They were a mobile team. They just brought me on for that time. And they're like, you can come with us to Georgia. And I was like, yeah, but I kind of want to stay in LA. So I decided that I need to go get a job. So I started working at Disneyland. I went to an audition. I made it through. I was I got an audition as an entertainment host. And so I started that job, and now that unfortunately my job at Disney has ended because of COVID, and we actually just got the call like 3 days ago.
Sorry.
Oh, it's okay. Life is seasons, and so some of the cool things that happened is not only was I an entertainment host, but I was also Spider-Man. I got to be a stormtrooper as well. It was awesome.
So cool.
It was the best like gig inside the job that ever happened. It was so much fun.
God.
But here's the thing. So Spider-Man got an update. They changed his suit from a taller boy, which was me, to a Tom Holland suit. And Tom Holland is a very he's little, and so and even though people think I'm 5'8", I'm actually like, because they only see the top of me during like filming and things like that, I'm actually 6'1".
Oh my God.
Josh can relate.
Yeah. Mood.
Josh, how tall are you?
I'm 6 foot. Yeah, everyone thinks I'm like 5'4".
That's
ridiculous.
That's so ridiculous, but that's so funny. You get it then, you know.
You speak to me, man. Everything you say is just like.
No, I know that life.
Mood.
And so I had to stop being Spider-Man because I wasn't gonna cut off, my legs from the knees. And I decided that would have been appropriate. So I went back to being just entertainment host, and I finally became Stormtrooper, which was very fun. But the job wasn't quite the same because the way that you were able to interact with kids as Spider-Man was amazing. I became frustrated because I knew I was qualified at Disney to do other things that I wanted, but the casting, and they've all been let go now, which I am mildly. Things. There's times where I'm like, a Pyrrhic victory, because I went too, but but you guys were kind of salty. They used to for a brief time, used to cast people based on their social media following. If you had social media, like you would, which shouldn't be, because you're not even allowed to talk about what you do at the company when you're there if you're one of the characters. So it's like, why are they doing this? Like, this makes no sense. So I spitefully posted my first TikTok through the information that was given to me by a buddy of mine named Casey Jones, who said, man, all this stand-up that you put on Instagram, like, it's got no growth. You should try this app called TikTok. And I was like, sounds like a dumb app. I've never heard of that. Like, I'll post one video. And Casey was right. Casey was so right. And so it became a thing where I was like, fine, you know, like my business degree was an emphasis in marketing. So I was like, you know what, I can boost my social media. I can get what I need to do. And so I posted the first video, and the next day Casey texted me and he was like, hey man, have you checked your TikTok? And I went, no, you know what? I haven't. He goes, you should for sure do that. And I went, okay. And so I checked, and I had 25,000 views on a video and like 8,000 followers. And that is the most views and follows I've ever had in my entire life at that point. I was like, this is what is happening? Like, why? And
what
it was a story about me working, right? Well, and it was a story about me working at Disneyland. And then that's where I had some really wonderfully sweet things happen at Disneyland. But what people forget is that the magic isn't in what we do, but it's in the connection that you have with kids. And so, and with other people, and being able to make kids happy makes their parents happy. And that overwhelming feeling of love is so palpable. So even the bad things that I've experienced working there, I would still say being able to create that magic was 100% worth it. But ironically, it was Disney in my most frustrated time with it, where I was like, fine, you know what? I'll work harder in a different direction so that you have to be able to say, you can't say that I didn't do all the things. And then here we are. I hit my year in 10 days. And right now I've just crested 2.4 million followers. So 200,000 a month every month for 12 months. It's kind of a beautiful moment to come back and be like, oh, the Improv team, like, I wasn't funny enough. Well, I guess it was okay. And it taught me a lot of here's how you got to kind of work it to make life work. And it was a very nice thing. And so for all of those faults and failures, I'd say that it was 100% worth it. And I wouldn't change anything in this moment.
There's so much perseverance there. Like, you just, that's, God, what a story.
Thanks, I
So
appreciate it.
good.
That's my shtick. That's what
Oh my.
it was fun. It's been a wild ride, and I've loved I you know what, I won't lie, I haven't loved every minute of it. Some of the minutes were super tough and super low points, but it's in here now. It's nice to have come out the other side and been like, I feel like when we're in low points, it's tough when we hear people be like, oh, it's gonna be fine, like it's like things are gonna work out. And I'm not naive enough to say that it always works out, but I know that for me, for right now, it did, and it was a beautiful moment. And I hope that encourages anyone that's watching. It's just like, if you've gotten no's, there's going to be a lot of them, but man, do they lead to some cool yeses that you might not have ever seen coming. That was neat.
Beautiful. So good. Oh my
Thanks.
gosh. Oh. All right, Parker, I think it's your question, my friend. God,
Is it?
Yeah.
That was so good.
How do you-
wow.
Whoa, what
This
a-
question is going to be so like funny afterwards, but I feel like we might know. But what's your biggest hobby outside of D&D?
Stand-up is become more of a job at the moment, but I would still consider it, it started hobbyish, and it's been really fun. I will say that video games, for sure. I play a ton of video games. Ironically, that we're playing, D&D, and especially like Roll20 stuff, because I've been just heavily addicted right now to a game called Wasteland 3. You haven't played? Yes, thank you, Josh.
I got it after you told me
fantastic.
to yesterday.
Oh, I'm so glad. It's a little buggy at the moment, but honestly, I played through the whole thing, beat it, and it was so much fun. I love those top-down isometric RPGs, and I also love games where it's like, okay, make this choice, and feels like 9 years later, you're like, oh, well, that's not okay, or it works out really well. It's like, oh, thank goodness those people came to save me because I did the right thing there. I just love that. So yeah, a lot of RPGs. Fallout is probably one of my favorite series. I am excited that Microsoft purchased it, because Microsoft purchased Exile, purchased Obsidian, and they purchased Bethesda, and I'm just sitting here like, this is the trifecta of everything I need. Like, I am so excited. And so I'm hoping that there comes a Fallout New Vegas sequel that Obsidian gets to do.
You guys play ball now. When you're together, the masterpiece.
Right?
Yeah.
It's true. Like, Outer Worlds was fun. I played Obsidian's Outer Worlds. It didn't have good hang time though for a lot of people. I thought it was a fun game. It could use a little more detail, to be honest, and felt more expansive. But ironically, a game about space didn't feel expansive. But it was fun. I'm just excited. I'm excited for Microsoft to just sit them down and be like, okay, you have to play together now. Be nice.
Sandbox. Here you go.
Exactly.
So, guys, we're getting close to audience questions, and we might, if you're okay with it, Ryan, we might go a little over, but we've got one more question for you before we go into audience questions. Audience, start highlighting your questions, and we'll try and get a few in. We want to hold Ryan here forever. He's a busy man. But our last question for you, Ryan. Oh, sorry. Mm-hmm. Well, our last question for you.
I was just going to say, I'm totally down to go a little longer.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
We'll push it over a little bit. You're the best. So our last question for you is, what is your most memorable D&D experience? Tell us your grand moment. Your favorite. I know it's a question.
There have been some amazing moments, and honestly, playing with you guys has added to some of these amazing moments. So I'm gonna probably have to give top 2, maybe top 3, if you don't mind. There was a time that we were playing together. That it was during the first part of Cold Recovery, where we get in to where the dragon was, and the dragon has stolen the cure. Oddly apropos. We're like, oh no, we gotta save the town. And when we got in, so we're in an ice cave. I asked Sean, because I had the spell Control Water. I was like, hey, ice counts as water, right? He's like, yes. And I go, remember in Star Wars when Count Dooku drops it on Anakin and Obi-Wan? I want to do that. And he goes, you may do that. And I ended up rolling a nat 20, which doubled my damage. And I think I did somewhere in the ballpark of 115 damage or something like that, by just essentially ripping an ice cave apart from the inside out and dropping it on a dragon. And it was just like, this is the greatest thing I've ever done in my entire life. It was so much fun.
Oh, it was legendary, that moment. You just pulled the whole ceiling down on it. Like, oh, it was beautiful.
It was well, and then I got the kill because Sarah had also done a ridiculous amount of damage with this. It was sickness, and she rolled a nat 22. We were with that dragon stood no chance.
Got wrecked.
Got totally wrecked. My final, my ending kill for that was I used Insect Plague. As a youth cleric would do, felt very Exodus, and my insects were. It's like I had little insects on the back of flying insects that were going into fight it. So there was Special Ops Insect Edition, and it was the movie The Bug's Life. If you've ever seen that, it was just so much fun. I loved that so much.
That was
a private campaign that we now stream occasionally, and we will be doing more of in the future. I was. My roommate Nate was our DM, and I'm playing with my 2 roommates and an extra party member, and we're there, a friend, and oh my gosh. 2 different things have happened. First off, at one point we were in the middle of the night, and our monk rolled just a egregiously bad perception to be on the lookout, and so we have hobgoblins get the jump on us, and I was like, okay. And I am inside the house, and the monk pops outside a window, and then a hobgoblin comes right up to her and is just waylaying her. I was like, oh no. But I remembered that in these buildings, they were supposed to be kind of ramshackle and older and kind of dilapidated. So just on the other side of this wall is the hobgoblin. I look at my DM Nate, and I'm like, how sturdy is that wall? And he goes, not really. And I go, I want a Kool-Aid man through it. And he goes, no. And I go, yes. He goes, roll a strength check. I rolled a nat 20. And he goes, I hate you. And I go, thank you. And he goes, you bust through the wall. And I go, no. I bust through the wall yelling, oh yeah! And I dropped through the wall the pieces from the wall, because I got to roll for damage for that. Just did an excellent amount of damage, and I killed the hobgoblin by just busting through a wall, Kool-Aid Man style. That was one of my most proud moments. Is just like, yeah, mess.
That's lit.
This is so much fun. I'm totally down to take questions from the audience, by the way, if you're...
Well, here we go, guys. All right, so question time. Let's ask some questions, chat. Thank you, guys. Those of you highlighting, it does make it a lot easier for us. We'll try and find some of the ones that aren't highlighted as well, but we tend to prioritize those guys. So, our first question is from our wonderful mod, Azur. Is there a system, like a TTRPG system, that you are interested in outside of D&D? That you particularly want to like try playing or enjoy playing, like Pathfinder or anything like that? Have you had any opportunities to play outside of D&D?
I played a little bit of Warhammer 40K. I had a friend who had just so many minutes. He had spent more money than like the church makes on these miniatures, and I was just like, oh my gosh. And it was awesome just getting to play that. It was very fun. That was actually my very first tabletop RPG experience, and I thought it was so much fun. I personally prefer D&D a little more, because that's like battles. I kind of love the detail of D&D. I think it's so much fun.
Yeah, that is very. Yeah. I started in 40K, in Warhammer 40K. That's why all my mini painting experience comes from that. But I tend to prefer D&D a lot. There's a lot more imagination and storytelling and improv, which, obviously lends itself to you. So yeah, that's
absolutely. I love it.
We've got another question.
It's just fun when all people that are dorky and fun get together and are just like, you know what? We're gonna let's all play make pretend. And it's just like, that's the best. That's the best.
Adult make believe. It's my favorite.
It's the best. It's legendary.
It is. It's so good. It is.
You really can. I've got another question here from you from Genesis.
Parth.
Interesting question. If you had to have a job behind a desk, what job would you have?
I've already done accounting, and I can tell you something. You know that audio from TikTok that's like, no one asks you what you do when you say you're an accountant. That's true, because no one cares. And I wouldn't go back to it. It was like my boss was the best part about that job. If I had to be behind a desk, so I'll keep it a little vague, but I'm getting my master's degree right now. My master's degree in what my bachelor's in international relations was actually heavily counter terror. So if I were to go back to that, I would there's an office through the DHS that is that's called it's the Office of Nuclear Nuclear Recovery. I think it's one of the it's very close to it. But what essentially they do is they track down nukes that have gotten out of hand, or nukes that are missing, which when the Soviet Union fell in the 1990s, 91, a lot of there was some awkward times. And so right now that's what they do. They track down nukes, and I find it very fascinating. Really, you get to track where money goes. And so it's it's fun accounting. And so it would probably be something on more of a defensive front. I think
Never
that's...
in my entire life would I have guessed that we would get the answer nuke finding accountant in this mini
Not me either.
That's amazing.
That wasn't the most popular answer? I don't know. Seems...
Believe it or not, it's the first time we've heard. Who'd have thought? They're a dime a dozen.
Right, very popular job. But yeah, so that's probably where I'd go.
That's so cool. We've got another one here from Helmheim Hound. what is your favorite type of pizza? None of these are D&D questions, so I hope you don't mind, but we're learning
We have
lots
some
about
good D&D questions in a second.
Okay. But in the
Not
meantime,
at
favorite
all.
pizza.
I love any and all questions. I'm totally down to answer them. Favorite type of pizza. I actually like thin crust pizza, believe it or not, because I'm from St. Louis, and so that's considered like St. Louis style pizza. It's thin crust. We're just trying to be the most opposite of Chicago that we could, and it's I like it. I like it with hamburger, pepperoni, and occasionally chicken. So it's just like a ton of meat. I'm essentially just trying to have a heart attack, and you know what? It's been delicious. That's good. Also, if you haven't tried them, Domino's Lava Crunch Cakes. Oh my gosh, they will change.
Those are really good.
World.
If Matt were here right now, he'd make a plug to Domino's.
He would. He would. I can't.
Gosh. All right. So now let's see. Here's a really good question from Sam VH. How do you choose your characters? Like, what's your process for picking what you're going to play in D&D?
That's a fascinating question. So for a lot of, I always play characters that I just think are going to be fun. I try to like up the shenanigans level as much as I can. I normally play little characters because even though I am a tall boy, I was not always a tall boy, and I felt like there's a certain party that doesn't grow out of certain childhood things, and so I still very much, like it's fun to play short characters and just kind of feel different, kind of feel what you would feel and bring different shenanigans to it. And yeah, that's why I've got the youth cleric. The youth cleric also comes from like the play on my username, which has been so much fun. And I did it as a joke, and then all of a sudden it has become an absolute delight. And now I can't wait for us to make a subclass. Like that's what
we 100%. As soon as this is over.
Yes.
Good and said. This is an amazing question.
I'm excited about this one.
Parker, ask away. I'm sorry, I'm stealing all the questions. Ask away.
No, it's good. Okay, the question was from Pinsnip, and it says, if you could turn any Disneyland ride into a D&D setting, which ride would it be and why?
Oh, that's so good. Oh, in a D&D setting. That's such a good question. I think a natural one to go for would be like Pirates of the Caribbean, because I'd love like a swashbuckling adventure. I also think that what is it? I think of the lands. I'd actually be really interested in doing like a Wild West, like 1840s one, like Big Thunder Mountain.
Very cool.
Like that would be really fun.
They do like train heists and things like that in D&D, like.
Right, like I want a fun like lever action, like old 6-shooter kind of feel. I feel like that would be so much fun.
Oh yes. Oh man. So this is a really good follow-up question to that from Hound, which is, if you could bring a Disney villain into D&D as a monster, who or what would it be?
All right, so my favorite villain from Disney universe is actually Count Frollo from The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Such a good villain.
He's such a good villain, and I also think that like his song Hellfire is one of the best Disney villain songs of all time. I love it. But I think it would be interesting to bring in a character like that. And I don't even know if it would be. I love the idea of like a political intrigue where you're trying to oust him. I think that would be so much fun. The town is pretty much, the city is under a rule. I think that would be fascinating.
God, that would be good.
Wouldn't it be fun?
Oh man, that would be fantastic.
That would be really good.
Oh, you could put Esmeralda in there and like.
I loved our Disney one-shot. I loved our Disney Cosplay Ground one-shot. I want everyone to reimagine Disney characters into D&D because it's so much fun.
It is a fantastic.
If I had to bring a Disney character into D&D, I would probably pick. My favorite Disney character is Milo Thatch from Atlantis. And I would love. I'd love to play him.
He can
because it would
have
be just
the
so much
archaeologist background.
He could, right? Oh,
He'd be
it's just
so
much fun.
good.
You
Oh
would
my
also
gosh.
knock a Milo cosplay out of the park, Ryan. Just saying, you got the hair and everything.
Well, I have done a Milo cosplay, and it is so much fun. I love it. I'll do it some more. I also, I don't know if you guys cosplayed. Oh, I know, Parker, you said you do Ren fairs. But my favorite cosplay I've ever done actually is Rorschach from Watchmen. I had the mask, and the mask was heat sensitive, so when you breathed, it would move. It was so much fun. I went for
yes. Go for it.
It's just awesome.
It is.
It's LA, like in West Hollywood during what's it called? During Halloween, and unfortunately, it won't happen this year. I've been the last 3, well, obviously, and probably for good reason. But but in the last 3 years, I went every year. And in West Hollywood, they have they block off the streets, and they have 500,000 people show up. People are all in costumes that are just crazy and amazing, and it was so much fun. And so I went as Rorschach last year, and it was awesome. We got some very cool pictures from it. Where it was so cool.
Okay, we need to afterwards. We'll have to share. Parker just got back from a cosplay photo shoot.
That's my part. But if you ever want to be on our show cosplay ground, let me know, because that's my baby. That's what I do. If you ever want to, we'll do another Disney one at some point.
I know.
That
would be so much fun. I would love that. I would love that so much.
We'll talk.
Even have the glasses and the necklace, the whole shebang. I got a question. What did you shoot as what were you cosplaying?
Yesterday I went out to a park and climbed in a stream and did a really fun dark fairy thing with the wings. We'll have to talk. I also worked at Disney, so
cosplay is how Parker and
I worked at Disney World. Yeah.
No way. Oh my gosh. Oh, we got stories then. For
sure. For sure.
Folk.
So we have a question that I think is really good. I'm going to say this wrong. Is it eGenesis? Is that it?
Hard. Yeah.
Genesis? Is that it? If your life had a soundtrack, what was it?
My bad.
No, you're.
I call him eGenesis, but his name is Parth. Parth is a delightful human being.
If your life had a soundtrack, what songs would there be for sure?
Probably, I feel like it would be Super Strange. I know the song Mr. Brightside. So there's a couple that I'd go through. I think that AJR, if you're familiar with that band, has the soundtrack to my life. And I think it varies depending on the thing. My stand-up is, I would say that the soundtrack is 100 Bad Days makes 100 good stories. 100 good stories makes you interesting at parties. So 100 Bad Days. I love the song Break My Face. Because if they break my face, don't matter anyway. My face is just my face. And it's just kind of oh well, whatever. There's a lot of AJR songs that I love. Probably Mr. Brightside by the Killers, because it's so good. It's everywhere and you need it. Closing Time by Semisonic. Happy Pills by the Weathers. And I'm trying to think off the top of my head. That's a lot of it. Maybe some weird Phantom of the Opera in there for no reason whatsoever. Just the beauty of the night. That's what. Why not?
So we've got a question here from Vault of Villains. This is a good one as well. This is a classic Vault question right here. If you could play as any monster in the Dungeon Master's Guide and Volos or any of the monster manuals in D&D, which one would you play as?
It's too good of a question. That's amazing. And I feel like I want to play something, and unfortunately, due to my wish I had more experience to be able to give a better answer. but I would like to play as something that would give me the powers of like Mysterio in the Spider-Man comics. I would love to be able to mess with people's minds heavily like that. I think that would be so much fun.
Mind Flayer.
That would be what.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, like a mind flayer.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. God, that would be cool.
I'd love to be able to, essentially, just whispering, to different party members to turn them against each other, and just that maniacal
Oh,
just think it would be so much fun.
Oh, that's good. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's so much fun.
Hold on, I'm reading through them now. Noah's got a question for you, our good friend, Nova Killing.
Sweet Noah, yes.
Sweet Noah. You get to spend a day in your favorite D&D character's life in the fantasy world. But after the day is over, you return to the real world looking like your D&D character. Do you hit the button to make it happen?
Gosh, that's so tough. There's so many levels to that question, and I love so many parts of it. So one of my favorites. So my two favorites have got to be Skothuth, which you've seen, Skothuth Lightbringer, and a very similar but heavily different personality, similar build though, is a character that is a dwarf cleric, youth cleric named Jesper Croventhrucks. I don't know why I went with that name. It's not dwarvish at all, but it made me laugh, and so I was like, "This is what." Thank you. So here's the thing, though. They're only about 4 feet tall, and they are. I play some 4 foot tall, lovably chunky, just like bowling balls of people, and I feel like they're the best. But I have top shelves in my house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Neither of them.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: they are perfect for what they are made for. They're defensible. They are like when you get thrown by giants, you are just a weapon. Love it, but no giants in real life, so that's tough. So I'd probably have to not hit. But then again, I'm also thinking like if I had a full beard, like I was 4 foot tall, and I was just weirdly jacked, but also like fluffy, and I had like a battle axe with me, my comedy career would go through the roof. That would be the best thing.
That's true.
So it's tough. Do I do it for the bit? And the answer is maybe. The answer is definitely maybe.
Commit to the bit.
Yeah, gotta commit. Yeah. Yeah, so it would take probably some deep consideration. In the end, probably ask my mom if she'd be okay with it. Like, that's probably what it was like.
That's valid.
What do you think, Mom, if I were to come back 4 feet shorter with a beard?
Would you still love me?
Yeah, that's valid.
I think she would. My mom is a very wonderfully amazing person, and she does very funny things. So my mom is like 5'6". She is a very petite build. She is a general contractor. Like, she can build houses from the ground up. She has all the skills for electrical, for saws, for wiring. She owns the chainsaw in her house. Like, she is baller. She recently, we're in a car, and just to kind of give you an idea of who my mom is. And so we're both driving up to the gym because we're going to leave at different times and we're going different places. And I am in my little car, and she is behind me, and I kind of like zip around. Essentially, there was a car that was slowing up in front of me because there was a car in front of them that was taking a right-hand turn. So I just get around because I was like, there's no one in my left lane. I just didn't want to slam on my brakes, so I just get around. Well, that car apparently got kind of offended that I'd zipped. So they were like, oh, is he trying to show off? Which, no, I was just trying not to have an accident. And so this car starts gunning it, to catch up with me, and we meet at a stoplight. And I, by the way, dumber than sand, was not paying attention. Had no idea that was happening. My mom, my mom is right behind me. I get a call on the phone from my mom. I pick it up and go, hi, Mommy. And she goes, gun it. I go, what? And she goes, this idiot to the left thinks he can beat you. Gun it. And I was like, what? And so she goes, there's no speed limit. There's nothing to do with acceleration. Get it. And so I just bolted off the gun, and I did. I was faster than that guy, and it was very fun. But it was just a funny thing. My mom was like, hey, man, don't step down. Like, go hard.
That is badass.
That's amazing.
Oh, that is so good.
So that's my mom.
I think maybe we got time for one more question, and then we can show off our amazing masterpieces of miniature painting. And there's a real good one here. I really like this, again by Genesis, which is map these people, the following people, to a D&D class and race: Beer Bong John, Jesse, and Kevin.
Oh my gosh. Well, first off, I love this question so much. So I think Jesse. Oh man, I'm trying to think of. Jesse is very good with tech stuff, and so I would want to give him something crafting related. With that voice, he's got such a beautiful voice. Like when he sings, oh my gosh. So I feel like I want to multi-class him as some sort of Mason character, with a bard.
Bartificer.
Artificer, thank you.
That's perfect. That's beautiful. That's so good.
So Jesse would be. I'd want to make Jesse also, like, if we're picking race as well, I'd want to make Jesse a like gnomish artificer, because even though he is a huge dude with a super deep voice, he is like he's a big teddy bear. He is such a softie, and so he would just go like that would be perfect. Iron Sanctuary, no question, a barbarian that is 100% chaotic good. Like, that is just absolutely chaotic, good dude, and he'd be a giant for sure. He's such a good dude, and his wife is so lovely. I've gotten to meet both of them and Brittany, and they just had their baby, so
The baby's
fantastic.
so cute.
Beer Bong John. Oh my gosh, so I've spent the most time with John, and I feel like because I know him on a much deeper level than just like, what a TikTok would be. I would probably make him a human cleric. Because he is very kind person. I could see him being a very good healer. He would look out for you for sure. And I think that, like, him being human would add a bit of normality. You know what I mean? I think it's so funny because we see all the people on TikTok, and it's John and Kevin were out in Vegas recently, and the people that normally stop to have pictures taken with them, like you pay them to get pictures with, it's normally the girls in like all the feathers and things like that. They stopped them to get pictures with them, which was hilarious.
Okay.
John, I think, appreciates normality. I know he does. I think that he would appreciate the simplicity of being human. I think that's why I'd make him a human cleric. Yeah.
That's such an insightful, beautiful answer.
That's so cool.
Love
now
all
I
those
want to
guys.
see all of them play these characters that you made for them.
Actually,
Oh,
you could
that would
do
be
it.
so much fun. I would die with joy.
On that beautiful
Positive
answer,
death.
I think it's time to show off minis. Here, I'll go first. I didn't get a lot done because I was enjoying this so much, but so he's got red pants. He's a bit of a hot mess right now because I didn't get any shades on him. But there he is. He's also holding a very gruesome head, which I haven't fit. There's my guy done. Parker, what do you got?
Well, I'm realizing this is really hard with my tiny hands.
Two.
I have that little guy. He's got silver on him, but you can't see it. And then I did this little dude.
That's so pretty.
You're amazing.
It's incredible. That is so much detail. I'm so impressed. Like,
And okay, last but not least, Ryan, what do you got?
I'm just gonna re-say, I haven't painted since the 6th grade.
It's gonna be great.
This is my dwarf. He's got his battle axe. I'll draw and I give him a red sash. That would be a little flair.
It looks so good.
It's amazing.
I'm pretty pleased with it. I like the way it turned out. It was fun getting to mix colors, and gosh, these D&D paint sets are fantastic. They made me very happy.
You've got the rivets and everything on the shield, though.
Yeah, the shield looks really nice.
I was trying to. I appreciate it. I like shields. They make me happy.
Dude, you hit it out of the park. That's amazing. Oh my god.
Thanks, man.
Okay. Hopefully we made a mini painter out of you. Maybe there's more in the future. We'll see.
Well, 100%. I would love to do this more because they're just there's also something very peaceful about it. Just
It's very nice.
It is.
Ryan, thank you so much. Where, again, one more time, where can all these fantastic people find you if they're not already there?
If you guys want to, you can find me at Youthpastorryan on TikTok and Twitch. You can also find me at Ryan Kelly Comedy on Instagram. I'd stay tuned on the Instagram. Right now, we're getting ready. There is a company that is getting ready to shoot a pilot that we are working on for Sketch. So it's going to be. So we're working on that. And we're very excited about that, but we will see where that goes to. So, stay tuned on those channels, and there will be more promotions there. And we'll talk to you guys soon.
God, that is amazing.
Yes.
Thank you again for being such
you.
a really appreciate hanging out with us.
I love you guys so much. I'm just honored to get invited to these things. It's always like, I gotta go hang out with the welcome in. Yeah. So,
You're such
Oh my goodness.
Anytime. All right, guys, with that, we're heading out. Thank you all for hanging out with us. Thank you again one more time to Ryan. You guys are the best. Bye.
Bye.
thanks, guys. Bye. Bye.